Okay. So, welcome. My name is Stephen Quinn. I'm trying out for the Google Educator Training Certification, and I just want to run through my website that I put together to display my portfolio and work I've done toward getting the certification. So, without fail, I will show it, demonstrate it. It will be available for you to see and examine, and I'll go through it in various steps to just point out more key points of it. So right here we have my homepage when you link onto the site. On the site right here, like I said, you have an introduction to myself right here, a little bit of my background. Like I said, I am a certified teacher in social studies in New York State and just finished a Master's of Science in Education Technology and looking to receive the certificate. There's a special education specialist certificate, rather, ed tech specialist certificate from the state as well. You can contact, I also have you can follow me on Twitter, and you can check out my LinkedIn profile here. So from the site, I have a link to my resume. Like I said, it has a little bit of my background, finished up and everything. You see where I went to school, certification, stuff and so forth, and teaching experience is where I spent time both as a per diem sub and the leave replacement. And I've had a little bit of chance to implement technology into the classroom where it was available. Also linked onto this part right here is my digital portfolio and relevant coursework. From here, you will be able to see various files of projects and work I've done for these classes toward my master's, both toward the Google Education certification and regular programs. Like I said, all of it's right here. For instance, the GAF training certificate, it'll be available and you can view it, and it has everything available for a person to examine. Now, we look at my social media right here. This is a big part of the portfolio. For instance, you're available to see what I follow and what I point out on Twitter, what I find relevant for education, how people tie education technology into the classroom. Now, a big part of what I went into was actually presentations I've used with Google. This right here, I was able to essentially take parts of different examples of mini trainings or even projects I did and implement them and explore them right here. So several right here, one's for Gmail exploration, best practices on a lesson to examine how Google or how a teacher implemented different Google programs into a classroom and examining it. Like I said, an innovations application. This is just some third-party applications that are enhanced by Google. And then lastly, Google Forms in education, integrating them into a social studies lesson, how these can tie in together to essentially almost set up a virtual classroom. Now, if we take a look at technology in the classroom right here, is a big part of my portfolio. On this page right here, you'll have links to several pages. One of them involves, for instance, instructional games that I made. These are Flash games, mind you, but these games serve the purpose of teaching instructors and students a historical part through the technology. Now, two other parts that are very relevant are two pages that I did that are fully digital online lessons. One of those reforms the Industrial Revolution. If we take a look at that, while that links to a separate page, all of the work and all the assignments on here were done implementing Google, from sites to the various Drive applications. Now, the other part of it right here is Introduction to Citizenship. This is another assignment I gave out in class where it will go through lessons and so forth. They complete assignments, and once again, it utilized the greatness of Google in regard to the Drive applications. Like I said, you can use your applications and implement it right into the classroom. Now, another part I did right here was for Origins of World War I. This project right here was more of a combination of different parts. It's more of a multimedia lesson. So and use different programs, different applications that directly weren't related to Google, but once again, sites did help host it, which was the greatness about it. Like I said, you can host the things on there and go through the various parts of the site. Now, if we scroll over a little bit further right here, goes to YouTube videos. These are different videos I created to essentially help instruct people on using applications. Some of them have actually been used by myself in the classroom, and some have actually been part of the lesson. For instance, we have an introduction to Google Forms. This is how to use it and how to implement it. underlying causes of World War I. This is something that I use Google presentations for a bit, and this kind of helped out with part of one of those interactive online lessons I did. So we take a look here. Google Drive, increased student collaboration and accountability. This was part of an application. This is a video I did as a mini training exercise to show teachers how Google Drive can be adapted into the classroom for the simple fact that there's accountability features and so forth, collaboration sharing, and levels of access that you can make available. And we talked briefly a little bit in this video about how to add them to different subjects and how they can apply to different subjects. And let's see, right here was using Google Sites and Flubberoo to instruct absent students. This is a nice little exercise to show how both these can be combined. Flubberoo, mind you, is a script that you can add into Google Drive applications such as spreadsheets. And by adding this in, you can have a grade book set up, have a student complete an assignment using forms, and it will essentially grade for you. And it kind of takes out that extra work that you might have to do by grading it by yourself. Now, I have had the chance to conduct a few trainings with various teachers. One of them was using Google. It started as a two-part assignment, or training session. So the first part was introduction and implementation of Google Sites. This essentially introduced Google Sites to educators. Here they essentially learned how to set up a site, how to pick a theme, how to properly navigate, which was more of the confusing part right here. And then later on, we use Google Sites as embedding content. Once they had their sites picked, how they had their tabs set up and so forth, and they could properly navigate to the different pages they wanted to go to, this is where they were showed how to add specific needs. They can upload their video, their content they've used, material, and so forth, make it available, have a calendar set up and so forth for assignments. And then we briefly talked a little bit about uploading gadgets to their pages, such as a Twitter feed, which you saw earlier on my page, because there are teachers and there are more people now using social media as a form of communication with the students and uploading assignments. And lastly, like I said, I mentioned this already a little bit, Google Drive on air. This is increased student collaboration accountability. This was, like I said, just a brief video, training video, of how Google Drive can be used to increase accountability and collaboration in the classroom. Now, last part of this right here is case study. I just want to talk about this briefly. This is a case study of me implementing some of these training sessions into a district I work in, West Babylon High School. In this, I met with several members of the socialized department, and while they were essentially switched over to Google, to the GAF programs, they weren't really instructed more on what was available. So what we did was essentially I created like a small little training program for them, because they're going to be transferring their original site material that they created for the last couple of years over to Google Sites by September 2014. So I showed them essentially how to upload stuff, how to move stuff over, essentially make their website functioning once again. And another part of this was working with several teachers in this who were a little bit unfamiliar with Google Drive applications and showing them how they can be incorporated into the classroom. From reception of this and so forth, we worked through this, and it was actually very positive. Most of the time, they were actually getting very engaged and involved and uploading the material. And essentially, by the end of it, they already had their sites up and running. They had material on there. Some teachers even already had calendars set up for next year, what they were going to be covering and what they were going to be discussing. And other teachers are already uploading folders just to hold all the material on there. Keep in mind, this is just for the social studies department, but the way it was incorporated and the way the teachers were discussing it, it was very promising that they would be updating this and sharing the material and information that I covered with them to the rest of the faculty members in the high school. So that right there is just a brief overview of my portfolio and all the material on there. Okay. So that pretty much concludes what I have to offer for my digital portfolio, and thank you very much for your time.